Many people believe that poverty is simply a lack of money, but in my decades of studying success and human potential, I have found that this is a dangerous oversimplification. True poverty is not an empty bank account. It is the end result of mental habits that sabotage your success from within. It is not your background, not your origin, not even your level of formal education that determines your future, but rather your way of thinking, of acting, and of deciding day in and day out. Are you truly ready to understand the invisible forces that have been holding you back? And more importantly, are you ready to finally break free? The first and most common habit that keeps good, hard-working people in a state of financial struggle is spending more than they earn. This habit is so deeply woven into the fabric of our consumer culture that many people don't even realize they are caught in its trap. You live on the edge. Your income is committed before it even arrives, and every dollar has a destination before it even reaches your hands. Automatic payments, cravings disguised as needs, and credit cards offering a false sense of freedom are the modern chains that keep you bound. It's not your fault that you may have grown up believing this was normal. All around you, the majority of people do the same. You were taught to consume, not to build. You were taught to impress, not to invest. You were taught to react emotionally to money, not to decide rationally with it. This seemingly innocent habit is one of the most treacherous because it steals your future while it entertains you in the present. This is an invisible trap. Every small expense, an unnecessary subscription, a meal out, a fashion item you didn't need, adds up. It accumulates. And worse, it accustoms you to living without a margin, without a buffer, without the ability to respond to any unforeseen event. Your financial life is precarious because you have no reserves, no control, and no plan. All you have are debts, accumulating interest, and a constant feeling of running after money but never catching it. Breaking this habit requires more than just willpower. It requires a conscious, deliberate decision. It requires you to look at your financial situation with brutal honesty, to write down every single expense, to see where your money is truly going, and to ask yourself with courage, does this bring me closer to or further away from the life I want? This is where the transformation begins. You don't need a raise right away. You need order. You need direction. You need to start by saving, even if it's a symbolic amount. It's not about the amount itself, but what it represents, self-mastery. Every time you save, no matter how small, you are sending a message to your subconscious mind. My future matters more than my impulse today. I remember a young man I coached years ago. Let's call him David. He was brilliant, a top performer at his company, and he had just received a significant promotion with a substantial raise. He came to me a year later more stressed and in more debt than ever before. He couldn't understand it. His income had increased by nearly 40%. Yet his financial anxiety had doubled. He had fallen into the classic trap. The new income was not seen as a tool for building wealth, but as a license for a new level of spending. A bigger apartment, a more expensive car, designer clothes, and fancy dinners became his new normal. The money was gone before it even had a chance to work for him. We sat down and did the simple exercise I just described. For 1 month, he tracked every single dollar. When he reviewed the list, he was shocked. It wasn't the big purchases that were destroying him. It was the thousands of tiny, mindless decisions. The daily gourmet coffees, the subscriptions to services he never used, the impulsive online purchases made late at night. Each one was a small leak, but together they were sinking his financial ship. The moment he saw it in black and white, the illusion shattered. He realized his problem wasn't a lack of income, but a lack of discipline and a lack of a plan. When you start to control your money, something powerful happens. You start to control your life. Money is connected to your self-esteem, your self-concept, your ability to say no to what you don't need so you can say yes to what truly matters. It won't be easy. You will feel resistance. You will want to give up. But if you hold firm, if you maintain your focus, if you discipline yourself, you will see results. Small at first, but they will compound over time. The day will come when you realize you no longer live on the edge, that you have reserves, that you have options, that you have peace. Not by luck, not by miracle, but as a fruit of brave and consistent decisions. Poverty is not just a lack of money. It is a lack of strategy. Every habit you change in your favor is one more piece of that strategy that leads you to a life of abundance, stability, and growth. This brings me to the second habit that keeps people poor, and this one is just as silent but perhaps even more destructive: procrastinating on important decisions. Procrastination is a form of self-deceit. It makes you believe you are waiting for the right moment, when in reality, you are avoiding the effort, the risk, and the discomfort that are prerequisites for growth. It's the illusion of being in control when, in fact, you are ceding control with every passing day. Every time you put off a decision you should make today until tomorrow, you are losing more than just time. You are losing opportunity, momentum, and mental energy. You convince yourself that you will take action later, when you have more money, when you have more time, when you feel ready. But that perfect moment never arrives. The perfect preparation does not exist. The fear of failure disguises itself as prudence, as logic, as common sense. And in the meantime, life goes on, debts grow, years pass, and the only thing that changes is your level of frustration and regret. Procrastination is comfortable, but it is sterile. It keeps you busy, but unproductive. It entertains you, but it does not transform you. It's like sitting in a car with the engine running but never putting it in gear. You're burning fuel, wearing out the engine, and going absolutely nowhere. To break this habit requires a profound shift in how you interpret action. You do not need to feel motivated to act. That is one of the greatest lies that holds people back. You believe you must first have the energy, the inspiration, or the confidence to start something important. The truth, which I have seen proven thousands of times, is that action precedes motivation, not the other way around. Start by doing what must be done, without waiting to feel like it. The motivation will come later, after you begin to see results, and those results only come when you decide, when you move, when you expose yourself to the possibility of error with courage. I know that deciding is not easy. It means giving up the fantasy that you can have it all without effort. It means choosing one path and accepting that there will be challenges, adjustments, and even failures. But it is also the only path to growth, to clarity, and to independence. You have a limited number of high-energy decisions you can make each day with excuses. Every time you procrastinate, with actions that change nothing. You waste one of those precious decisions. You fill your schedule with tasks that are urgent, but you ignore the ones that are truly important. Those few key decisions that would change the entire course of your life if you face them head-on. The most serious consequence of procrastination is that it creates a false sense of peace. You feel relief by not confronting what makes you uncomfortable, but that relief is a slow-acting poison that numbs you, that makes you slow, insecure, and dependent. Then one day, you wake up and realize you have wasted years on decisions not made, on ideas not executed, on opportunities you let slip by. What would happen if, starting today, you decided to do the opposite? To make one important decision every single day, even if it's small, even if it scares you, even if you don't have all the information. Every decision you make strengthens you. It turns you into a person who acts, who leads their own life, who does not need perfect conditions to move forward. As you develop this habit, your confidence grows, your vision expands, and your influence increases. Wealth is not just a matter of money. It is a matter of decisiveness. Successful people think quickly, they decide quickly, and they correct their course along the way. They do not get paralyzed by analysis. They don't need guarantees. They need a direction, and they create that direction by taking action. Start with one decision today, one that you have been putting off. Just do it. It doesn't matter if it's hard. What matters is that you do it. By doing so, you send a signal to your own mind. I am no longer the same person. I am no longer a slave to fear. I am no longer a victim of time. I am a person of action. That signal, repeated over and over, transforms your identity. And your identity is the engine of all your results. Do not let the fear of making a mistake keep you poor. Have a greater fear of not trying, of staying the same, of living trapped in a limited version of yourself. Every decision is an opportunity to advance, to learn, to evolve. Decide to act today, even with fear, because the price of waiting will always be greater than the price of trying. And now we arrive at one of the most common and dangerous habits, because it camouflages itself as logic, as precaution, and even as humility. This is the habit of thinking small. Thinking small does not mean you don't have dreams. It means you limit your dreams to what you believe is possible within your current context. You tell yourself that it's okay to be content with what you have, that at least you have a job, that at least you're not as bad off as others. And slowly, that mentality extinguishes your ambition, closes your mind to new possibilities, and dries up the internal fire you once had. To think small is to look at life through the eyes of fear, not of faith. It is to calculate every step from a place of scarcity, from doubt, from the idea that the little you could be lost if you dare to desire something more. But living with that mentality is a slow death. The person who does not allow themselves to grow eventually settles for a reduced version of themselves, for a life without direction, for mediocre results that neither fulfill nor represent them. And do you know the worst part? Often, you don't even notice it. You convince yourself that you are being realistic, but what you call realism is often just rationalized fear. That fear becomes a barrier that surrounds you from the inside. You no longer need anyone to limit you because you do it to yourself every single day with your own thoughts. That's not for me. That's too big. I could never achieve that. You don't realize that every time you think this way, you are writing your own destiny of limitation. Your external life can never outgrow the size of your internal vision. If your vision is small, your results will be small as well. This is not about having unrealistic fantasies. It is about allowing yourself to imagine something better, something more fulfilling, something more challenging. Because what you visualize, what you dare to dream with intensity and purpose, you begin to attract to yourself. Your mind seeks congruency between what it believes is possible and what it builds. Therefore, if you begin to think in big terms, your behavior will start to adapt to that new dimension. This is a moment to remind you of something essential. Your thoughts are not neutral. They are orders. They are silent instructions that your brain works to execute. When you tell yourself, "I can't," your body responds with paralysis. When you tell yourself, "Perhaps I can," your energy shifts, your focus shifts, your decisions shift. Thinking big is not arrogance. It is respect for your God-given potential. It is assuming that you came into this life to develop, to expand, to contribute. And thinking big forces you out of your comfort zone. It forces you to acquire new skills, to face new challenges. It is uncomfortable, yes, but that discomfort is a very sign that you are growing, that you are entering a higher level of play where the rewards will also be greater. If you are listening to this message right now, it is because that seed already exists within you. That voice that tells you that you are capable of more, that you were born for more. Do not ignore that voice. Do not silence it. Feed it. Surround yourself with big ideas, with people who challenge your way of thinking, with books, with conversations, with environments that remind you that you are not destined to live a limited life. Start writing down your goals with more clarity, but this time, write them big. Write down goals that scare you, goals that you don't yet know how to achieve. That is how you know they are worthwhile. Then, act as if they are inevitable. Because when you truly commit to a big objective, your mind begins to work in your favor. Resources, ideas, and connections that you didn't see before will begin to appear because they were outside the scope of your old way of thinking. The fourth habit that keeps you poor is relying solely on your willpower and waiting to feel inspired before you take action. So many intelligent men and women with genuine talents and great aspirations get stuck for this very reason. They tell themselves, "I'll do it tomorrow," or "I'll start when I feel motivated." But this is precisely what keeps them trapped. They believe they need motivation to act, when the truth is that disciplined action is what creates motivation, not the other way around. The more you wait to feel ready, the more the days slip through your fingers. The days turn into weeks, the weeks into years, and when you look up, you are still living the same life you claimed you wanted to change. Willpower is important, yes, but it is unreliable if it is not supported by systems, habits, and routines that push you to act even when you don't feel like it. Your feelings are volatile. One day you have them, the next you don't. One day you wake up with energy, the next with apathy. If your progress depends on your daily emotional state, what would you do if you were then already your progress the person you wish to be? Lasting change is not achieved by the person who gets most excited. How would you act if you already live with stability? The person who does what they must do, financial freedom, even when they don't feel like it. Then start acting like that person who turns their decisions into rituals. Do not wait for discipline to arrive like a gift from heaven. You must form it. You must mold it. You must make it a part of your very identity. Discipline is not a magical skill that some people have and others don't. It is a practice. It is a daily choice. It is the invisible muscle that supports all of your goals. Without discipline, your dreams fade away. Without discipline, your intelligence is wasted. Without discipline, your potential remains locked away in theory. Start with just one thing. One action that does not depend on you feeling good to do it. Perhaps it's waking up 30 minutes earlier. Perhaps it's putting your phone away for the first hour of the day. Perhaps it's writing down your goals every single morning without fail. It doesn't matter what it is. What matters is that you repeat it until it becomes an automatic part of your routine. Every time you complete a planned action without depending on your emotional state, you are sending a powerful message to your brain. I am in charge here. Not my excuses, not my fears, not my laziness. That message, repeated over and over, reprograms you. And when you are reprogrammed, your entire life begins to change. Not overnight, but in a consistent, real, and profound way. Discipline becomes structure. Structure becomes results, and result become renewed motivation. This habit of waiting to feel ready is a trap that has ruined more dreams than any external enemy. It disguises itself as logic, as self-care, even as wisdom. But it is not. It is fear in disguise. Fear of failing. Fear of breaking the pattern. Fear of living a different life. And that fear is only conquered by walking directly into it, by taking action even when your heart is pounding, even when doubt is present. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is a decision to move forward in spite of the fear. And that courage is only cultivated through daily practice, through deliberate effort, through firm decisions that are upheld even on the gray days. No one achieves a prosperous life by waiting to feel like it every day. No one builds freedom, emotional, spiritual, or financial, from the comfort of doing only what they feel like doing. It is built from a conviction that your future is worth more than your present comfort, that your life's vision cannot depend on how you feel today. The fifth habit that keeps you poor, and perhaps one of the most invisible yet profoundly limiting, is surrounding yourself with people who do not inspire you to grow. You may not notice it at first glance, but the people you interact with most have a direct and powerful influence on your way of thinking, on your habits, and on your vision of what is possible for your life. The conversations you have daily, the comments you hear, the attitudes you normalize in your environment, all of this shapes your mind. If you are surrounded by complaints, by excuses, by negative thoughts about money, about success, or about life, you will end up thinking the same way, even if you don't want to. Your environment is more powerful than your intention if you are not consciously guarding your mind. If the people around you constantly justify mediocrity, if they criticize those who make progress, if they mock those who dream big, if they make you feel guilty for wanting more out of life, then you are poisoning your own mentality every single day without realizing it. This poison does not kill you instantly. It numbs you. It confuses you. It makes you doubt yourself. Little by little, you begin to lower your standards so as not to make others uncomfortable. You start to talk less about your goals so as not to seem arrogant. You begin to hide your ambition so as not to lose the acceptance of your cycle. And just like that, without realizing it, you condemn yourself to repeating the same cycle forever. Mental poverty is contagious. You don't need to be taught to be fearful. You just need to hear fear repeated every day. You just need to see how others justify their stagnation by blaming the government, the system, the past, the weather, anything but themselves. If you are not mentally strong, you will end up adopting these same ideas as your own. I once worked with a very talented woman, let's call her Maria, who wanted to leave a stable but unfulfilling job to start her own consulting business. The idea was sound, her skills were top-notch, but she was paralyzed. Every time she spoke about her dream to her friends and family, they would react with fear. Are you sure? It's so risky. What about your pension? Most new businesses fail. You know, they weren't being malicious. They thought they were protecting her. But their protection was a cage. Their fears were becoming her reality. She was absorbing their limiting beliefs. The turning point came when she made a conscious decision to change her inputs. She couldn't easily change her family, but she could change what she listened to and who she sought out for advice. She started listening to podcasts by successful entrepreneurs on her commute. She joined online forums and mastermind groups with people who were already doing what she wanted to do. For the first time, she was in an environment where her dreams were considered normal, not crazy. The conversations were about strategy, not about risk. They were about how, not what if. Within 6 months, her entire demeanor had changed. She had a business plan. She had her first client, and she had handed in her resignation. She hadn't changed her dream. She had changed her environment, and the new environment made her dream inevitable. You must deeply understand this. Your destiny is tied to your environment. If you want to change your life, you must be willing to change with whom you associate. This is not about rejecting or looking down on anyone. It is about wisely choosing which voices you will allow to enter your mind. If the people around you do not inspire you, if they do not challenge you, if they do not lift you up, then you must seek out new reference points. To stay where you are for fear of being alone is the first step towards resignation. And resignation is a fertile soil where poverty, mediocrity, and apathy grow. Protect your mind as you would protect a delicate seedling that is just beginning to sprout. In the beginning, your new path, your new way of thinking, your new discipline, it is all fragile. It needs fertile ground, not a field full of weeds. The sixth habit that keeps you poor is a lack of clear goals. Not having a definite direction is like getting on a ship with no rudder, allowing yourself to be carried by the waves of daily life, hoping that some stroke of luck will take you to a better shore. But success does not work that way. Success does not happen by accident. It happens by design. And that design begins with a specific, concrete, measurable goal. A person without goals live by reacting to bills, to problems, to the opinions of others. Their energy is scattered, their motivation is diluted, their life is reduced to mere survival. It does not matter how talented you are, how much experience you have, or how hard you work. If you do not have clear goals, you will not arrive at any meaningful destination. Effort without direction does not build progress. It only creates fatigue. It consumes you. It keeps you in motion without any forward advancement. When a person has goals, everything changes. Their mind is activated. Their body obeys. Their environment begins to organize itself in their favor. A clear goal filters your decisions. You know what to do, what to avoid, what to say yes to, and what to say no to. Without goals, everything seems important. With goals, the urgent ceases to dominate you because the important takes control. And I am not talking about vague dreams like, I want to do better, or I want to have more money. No, a goal is concrete. It has a date. It has a number. It has a reason for being. A well-defined goal forces you to grow. It makes you uncomfortable. It obligates you to acquire new skills, to study, to organize yourself. And that discomfort is good because it is a price of leaving mediocrity behind. Most people who remain poor are not poor due to a lack of ability, but due to a lack of direction. They live putting out fires, reacting to their environment, trying to control the uncontrollable instead of focusing on what they can direct, their decisions, their routine, their learning, their attitude. Write down your goals. And don't just do it once. Write them down every single day. Do it until your vision is so clear that there is no room for doubt. Do it even if you don't yet know how you will achieve them. The how appears once the what is firm. Your mind does not need guarantees to get started. It needs clarity. And you get that clarity by writing, by visualizing, by speaking to yourself in terms of destiny, not of circumstance. You are not here to repeat your family's history, nor to keep a job that doesn't fulfill you, nor to accumulate frustrations while convincing yourself that this is normal. You are here to advance, to break cycles, to leave a legacy. And that legacy begins with a goal that transcends you, that challenges you, that reminds you that you are still alive for a reason. There is nothing more powerful than a person with a clear goal. That person walks differently. They wake up with purpose. They tolerate setbacks better because they know where they are going. They are not carried away by the emotions of the day because their vision is bigger than their fatigue. That person becomes magnetic because people can sense when someone has an inner fire, and that fire is fueled by goals. If you do not have goals, you are extinguished. You react to the world, but you do not transform it. And you were not born for that. You were born to conquer a space in history, to leave a mark on your family, your community, your generation. And you do not achieve that by wishing. You achieve it by aiming, by setting the target, by aligning your entire life in a single direction. This leads us to the seventh and final habit we will discuss today, which keeps more people in a state of quiet desperation than any other. It is a belief that learning ends when you leave school. It's the thought that you already know enough, that you don't need to continue your education, that what you experience is sufficient to face the challenges of life. This thinking is a silent death sentence, because in a world that is changing at a breathtaking speed, the person who stops learning immediately begins to fall behind. This is not just about reading books or taking courses, though those are excellent practices. It is about adopting a mindset of constant and never-ending improvement. It is about asking yourself every single day, what can I learn today that will bring me closer to my goals? What area of my life is still stuck due to a lack of knowledge? Because wherever you lack information, you will find poor decisions. And wherever there are poor decisions, there are consequences that keep you limited. Poverty does not always come from a lack of resources. Often, it comes from a lack of skills. Skills that could be learned, but are not sought after because people believe it's too late, that there's no time, that learning is for other people. This is the most dangerous thought of all, the belief that your reality is already defined. That if you didn't learn something when you were young, now all that's left is to resign yourself to your fate. But that is a lie. The people who transform their lives do so when they decide to start again, regardless of their age, regardless of how many times they have failed, regardless of how many years they spent believing otherwise. Learning is not a luxury, it is a necessity. And in the information age, there are no excuses. Everything you need to know to improve your financial, emotional, professional, or personal situation is available. It is out there, waiting for you to seek it. But you have to choose to learn. You have to make learning a discipline, not an exception. Look at your life right now. Be honest. What skills are you missing? What things do you not know how to do that could give you a new opportunity? Selling, communicating, saving, investing, organizing, leading, negotiating. There is no skill that you cannot learn if you set your mind to it. The only thing that has kept you from these skills is mental laziness, the habit of shutting off your curiosity, of using your free time to distract yourself instead of educating yourself. But that time that today is lost to distractions, to television shows, to social media, to empty conversations, is the same time that could be used to build a new future. You don't need to change everything today. You just need to make learning a priority. Read for 15 minutes a day. Listen to an hour of an educational audio program instead of mindless music. Ask yourself every night, what did I learn today? These small actions, repeated over a year, will completely transform a person. And the most powerful part is that constant learning also changes your self-esteem. Every time you learn something new, you feel more capable, more useful, more focused, more valuable. You no longer depend on others to solve your problems. You no longer have to wait for the government, your company, or the system to give you opportunities. You create them because you know how, because you prepared, because you sought the knowledge. And this becomes visible. People notice when someone has a hunger for growth. They trust you more. They respect you more. They follow you more. And with that respect come more open doors, more possibilities, more power that were previously invisible to you. Ignorance is expensive. It costs you time. It costs you energy. It costs you entire years lost in a meaningless routine. This is not about studying for the sake of studying. It is about learning what brings you closer to your vision, about becoming an expert in your own purpose, about becoming a master of yourself. A person who trains themselves every day is a person who never returns to the place they started from. So there you have it. These are the habits that silently, day by day, build the walls of the prison of poverty. Spending more than you earn, procrastinating on key decisions, thinking small, relying on fleeting motivation, surrounding yourself with negative influences, living without clear goals, and ceasing to learn. But knowing them is only the first step. The real transformation begins now with a decision to no longer be a victim of your past habits, but to become the architect of your future habits. It begins by taking full responsibility for your life. From this moment forward, your life will only grow to the extent that you do. Your income will only grow to the extent that you learn and apply new skills. Your happiness will only grow to the extent that you cultivate a positive and resilient mindset. It all starts with you. The habits that brought you to where you are today will not take you to where you want to go tomorrow. You must consciously and deliberately choose a new set of habits, the habits of success, of discipline, of continuous growth. If this message has resonated with you, if you feel that something has awakened inside of you, I encourage you to subscribe to this channel, like this video, and share it with someone who needs to hear it. And more than that, I want you to make a commitment to yourself. Go to the comments section and write this declaration. I'm the architect of my destiny. Let that be your new mantra, the first brick in the foundation of your new life. Remember, success is not an accident. It is a predictable result of practicing the right principles and habits over and over again until they become a permanent part of your character. You have within you, right now, everything you need to break free from limitation and create a life of abundance and purpose. The past does not equal the future. The only thing that matters is what you choose to do, starting right now.